Okay. Okay, so what I think I can do for you at the very least is give you my crappy camera feed so that way you can at least see me.
Okay.
And then my stream still looks really nice with my regular one.
That's fine. Yeah.
Why do these things not want to play nice with each other? Yeah, you... Oh. Let's see here. This is running down to... Right, this is it. Okay. No, yeah. Okay, that's it. Yeah, I bought this quote-unquote 1080p camera, and it was bad.
Well, sometimes you need like good lighting too, and then you need to like fuck with it,
Yeah.
like
Okay.
this one's 1080p too. It's just like, if you don't have it like perfect, it doesn't look good.
Here, let's see here. Yeah, I just for the sake of good effort, I tried to give you the OBS webcam again, and it's not happening. So there you go.
No, I hate it.
Oh no, it's me on both sides. Oh god. It is capturing the green screen. It's ruining the illusion.
Oh, it's fine. It's fine.
There's you.
I'll do I'll put you on the tiny window so it doesn't look as bad.
Oh no, I got it. Oh yeah, isn't that bad?
What?
And I feel like the camera that you see.
No, it's not, it's fine.
Oh
It's
man,
completely fine. I don't think it matters.
well, like it seems like my lighting makes it worse too, rather than better. So I have decent lighting now for my streams, and it makes my good camera look really good, and it makes this one look washed out as fuck.
Yep, I know. It's the thing that I have to deal with every time I do one of those tabletop streams.
Oh,
Because I have to do the same thing.
I by the way, I always really appreciate your angle you have.
This one right here?
Yeah, it's good. I like it.
From the left.
Well, yeah,
My good
because
side, that's why.
well, I always think too that like that would be a good angle. Like if I'm interviewing somebody, it just looks like I'm looking at them.
Oh, you mean? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I guess like for chat and stuff, I've noticed that when I'm like making videos, that when I look up, I'm literally looking up at chat. But like, so when like during a video, I'm just going like this, but it looks like I'm looking at like literally looking at chat, which is a little funny.
Oh wow, we have a not terrible sized crowd for comedy stream. That's really cool.
Hi guys.
If you don't know who KeyofWeird is, just go over and follow him. Don't listen to him. He's wrong about everything that he says about himself and music. But that's the fun of it. You can go watch him be wrong about music, and it's very enjoyable. He's a good guy. He deserves the follows. I'm not going to tell you to spend money on his stream because I don't want to get knocked off that leaderboard. But
well, there's no one on here now.
oh, I was. People are watching you on this end at least. So first of all, thank you so much. We streamed together like the one time, not counting the roast. That wasn't, I did get KeyofWeird to come in for a little bit on that. But
I was gonna say, yeah, you weren't there, yeah.
I know I couldn't make it, so I had him stand in for me. I knew he could roast you pretty good.
He did a good job.
Thank you. So just for context as to why this is happening, I hate the things that you said about comedy so much that I demanded a stream with you right then and there.
I don't even remember what I said, and I'm almost pretty sure I was mostly fucking with you.
Okay, well, I really, really hope that's the case. But I need to know what you actually think now too.
Sure.
Because I participate so much in your music stuff, and I know that music's like really important to you, and like comedy has probably been the thing that's carried me through like the I think music to some degree, especially as I got older. But when I was younger and had like a really, really shitty childhood, I watched a lot of comedy that I shouldn't have been watching. And like,
Sure.
especially like early teens to like late teens, like comedy was the thing. Like the worst parts of my life were definitely turned around by a really good comedy stand-up special. And nobody, when you're 14, nobody knows who George Carlin is. When you're 13, when you're like 15, you better hope your teachers don't know that you know who Louis C.K. is. Well, it wasn't as bad as it would be today.
I mean,
Well, it's like 2 years ago, if a 14-year-old walked into class and said, my hero.
just so you know, you're peaking just like a little bit.
Oh, shitty! I had it turned up real high. How's that? Is that better?
Yeah, actually, a lot better. Yeah.
Yeah, I just had to hit the mixer a little bit. So yeah, there's a pretty big difference, I think, to how I interact with comedy now as I did when I was a kid. When I was a kid, I was just like, please just give me the funny. I need to like just feel like not terrible all the time. And now when I watch it, I appreciate it like a lot differently. I appreciate like the joke structure. Like, so I usually watch specials like 2 or 3 times, because the first time I'll watch it and just like turn my brain off and like absorb the jokes and just have a really good time. And then afterwards, I kind of try to go back and be like, well, how did they like tie things in together? What's the kind of joke structure? Are they like changing? Are they growing or whatever? I really nerd out on it internally because nobody around me wants to hear about it. So I don't get to talk to anybody about it.
You sound like me.
So that's why I said comedy to me is like what music is for you. It's like I just can't not analyze the art of it.
Sure.
And so you had said to me that you think that I don't think you went as far as saying like that some of the greats like Dave Chappelle and like Louis C.K. would be in the same category as Gabriel Iglesias and Jeff Dunham, which I would probably put them in like the same tier. But you said like Jim Gaffigan. Well, he's like, yeah, he's probably like in the same like area as them. And I was just like, to fucking know. Like I would consider Jim Gaffigan to be while he's not like, I wouldn't say that like he like the other people I list are like masters of the craft.
Sure.
But he's a professional. He's an old school seasoned pro at what he's doing.
Okay.
He knows what he's doing. He knows what he's good at, and he does it very, very well in respect to the art of comedy. Where I think that, like, if a big part of your bit is I have an accent and I'm going to say things that aren't funny with an accent, I think that that's kind of like you're in some ways like you let me try to be a little clear-headed and charitable when I say it. I'm upset because I know exactly why you're laughing, and I'm not doing the thing that I'm sure that other people think. I'm not doing it for that. I'm not trying to mock you. I swear to God. I realized it after I started. I think it's okay. I think it's okay to do those things.
Yeah.
But when you try to say that, like, this person's really good at this, I'm like, can we fucking stop? Like, they're not good at it. You laughed. You know, like you laughed at it, but that doesn't mean that it was good. Like, I've had farts that made me laugh. That doesn't mean that it was good comedy. There was no art to it, right? It's just something that happened and happened to be funny. I'm so fucking mad at you right now. I don't know if a fart has like a good little tune on the end of it. Is that music?
I mean, I would say that if you could somehow control your sphincter to the point that you could make a song out of it, I would consider it music. It would be art, but in like a very hyper specific way. Like it'd be good art in a very hyper specific way. But obviously, I know what you mean. It's just kind of funny. So.
Sure. So like the idea of like, it's like stand-up comedy is a very specific form of art, right?
Sure. You know, I get that. Yeah.
Whereas it's not the same as like showing somebody a clip of a TV show and laughing. That it's not the same kind of comedy as South Park is.
Sure.
South Park is, I think, if we can say like one of the few things that almost everybody agrees on is that that South Park is funny. It is
Sure.
ridiculously popular it's ridiculously popular across like widespread demographics for a reason. And that reason is almost certainly due to it having like good humor. Whether some people are offended by it or not or whatever, we have a huge amount of like huge reach of people like, I watch this because it's funny. This would be very, very different than like what Bill Burr does, what Dave Chappelle does, what Joe Rogan does when they go up on stage and not in their podcast. This is a very specific art form that takes a lot of self-regulation and training and like real-time like understanding of what's going on and sort of augmenting your the way that you're going to tell your jokes based on how people reacted to other jokes. And I don't think any of those elements really apply when your main joke is I'm fluffy and then just telling a story that really has no comedic context other than like you're going to screech and you're going to do an accent and maybe do some like body rubbing when you say it, which there's some light elements there, sure. But I just think that like, I guess you can beat a man to death with a hammer if you really like a poorly made hammer if you really, really wanted to, but an expertly crafted sword is going to do the job much better and cleaner, right?
Yes, but I guess so when I'm starting to like vaguely remember what I think I said, which is something like hyperbolic, like yeah, like if it makes you laugh, it makes you laugh. So yes, I would say that a sharp, good knife cuts better than a dull knife, but I would say at that point you're still cutting, and that's the part that matters the most, I think.
Well, okay, so if George Carlin, Louis C.K., and who else do I have on my list here? Of course, now I'm drawing a blank on like and like John Mulaney are like surgical scalpels, right?
Sure.
Gabriel Iglesias is a hammer. You're trying to cut this steak with a hammer.
Mm-hmm.
And it can still deal damage. You can still do damage to the thing, but this isn't the right tool, you know?
I know I know what you're saying, but I think in saying you're to use your analogy, I think you're saying like, well, I'm trying to cut a steak, but I don't think that laughing is like cutting a steak. I think laughing is like it's like eating a chicken nugget. Like it can be good, but really you just want it to sustain you.
Yeah, this is really good because this is, I think, what you just
Cam
did.
is asking, what if the steak is frozen?
What if Cam shut it the fuck up? So what you just said is like center to the point that I'm trying to express. Okay. See, you're saying if I laugh, it's funny, but like comedy is more than just stand-up comedy isn't just about being funny. It's about implementing ideas into your. So like I always think of art as something that makes you feel something. But people say that a lot. But I think the thing that a lot of people miss out on when they say that is that art makes you feel something that the person who made it made you feel that you didn't really have any say in the matter, that maybe you didn't feel already. That makes you think about things in a different way. So it's not just like a feeling, like anything can make you feel something, but I think it has an impact on you that lasts after the art isn't present. And I don't think that like a call and response between a man and a puppet that is controlling the puppet with like really simple one-liners is going to do that. I don't think that like I'm fluffy and then like here's a story about how my friends and I got a flat tire and I like used an accent and explained how we fixed the tire. You know what I mean? I don't think you're going to leave away with that having any different thoughts about anything that was talked about. But when you have somebody like Dave Chappelle come up and talk about something, well, maybe not the best example due to how things have went recently, but even his classical stuff, he like one of his first or second ones, he would talk about weird interactions that like he would have with the police and that his buddy would have with the police who was white, and just like how different it was. And the stories were hilarious, but at the same time, he's talking about like this is why myself and other people in the black community have a hard time empathizing with certain problems that white people face. But he's going to say it in a way that's where most people would have their guard up when they're listening to it, is going to have their guard completely down because you're going to be like keeled over laughing when it happens. It's a good stand-up comedy is a really good medium to get important information across to people who wouldn't normally want to hear it. It's like the ninja that sneaks in with the crowd, you know?
Yes. However,
sure.
I would argue that I think the disarmingness of Dave Chappelle comes from the silly jokes in the middle. So while he can talk about,
well, I was talking about the older stuff.
Yeah.
Now it's a lot more like joke, social commentary joke is more his style now. But I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
I mean the last one, yeah. To be fair, I haven't watched like because I know there's like 3 on Netflix that he made.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't watch the first 2. I watched the last one, but I still haven't watched the first 2.
I know some people that have the face masks from the event. I played Magic with them. I was like, oh, you went and seen the show? I was like, I'm so jealous. That's awesome.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was at the Fillmore. I'd been there.
But the same way I think Dave Chappelle in old comedy did like the, important social commentary was the same way he was making jokes about like accidentally driving into the hood and saying a liquor store, gun store, liquor store, and saying the baby selling crack. So he has those are the disarming moments. So I think for like things like for like people like Gabriel Iglesias, to be fair, I don't watch the motherfucker at all. Like I know the fluffy joke. I know the joke. I know the silly voice. I know the body. I know him, right? But I don't know the jokes. Like I don't watch Gabriel Iglesias. I watch more of Dave Chappelle than I do Gabriel Iglesias. But I would say that those fluffy jokes and the rubbing and the accents are things that help like disarm the audience to then kind of talk about more like social commentary stuff.
But
like
he's got really. Well,
I don't know if he does or he doesn't, but I'm looking up. I'm seeing this was uploaded literally 5 hours ago. It seems to be a part of a stand-up comedy called, and then he called it "Why I Quit Drinking," which sounds like it might be.
He knew I was coming after him.
I mean, he might have. Was like, I saw this motherfucker from a mile away. But I think shit like that kind of works. He even has one about Latinx right here 5 days ago. So I don't know. Okay, I mean, being stopped by Border Patrol.
Maybe he's evolving and changing. Maybe his stuff is becoming a little bit more
like
aware.
old ones though. I got like the stop by Border Patrol was 2 years ago. So okay, so this is unfair because I haven't seen them. That joke it's like a 5-minute video. That shit might be like him just going and there's no social commentary. I don't know. But I would say, oh god.
I saw the clip of the I just see the why I quit drinking, and I gotta say, I'm looking at like the GIF of YouTube going over it. He might not be the same kind of comic anymore. Just looking at his face, he looks way less happy and more miserable, which means I'm gonna give him I'm automatically gonna be biased in thinking that he's a better comedian now.
He's older now, so being older probably lends to that. Yeah.
He looks bitter and sad. Yeah, I like that in my comics.
I think he's just tanned and fatter.
Well, the furrowed brow and the laugh lines and just the way he's holding his face. I like my artists in general to have like a good degree of open misery. It lets me know that
John Mulaney looks white as shit.
Which I think that John Mulaney's a really special gem in that he delivers really good comedy outside of the way that I'm used to receiving it. I think that's like one of the biggest disarming parts about him is how cheerful and bright he is. Yeah, he he brings a different kind of energy to the level of comedy that's being provided. Yeah, that would be like a lot of times you'll talk about how people are, well, then fuck off, make that face at me.
No, I'll make it in a fucking cam.
Sure.
So please don't smile when you're making jokes. Fuck off.
Oh,
I do shit for me. I make me laugh. I don't care about anybody else.
well, you know how you talk about like the evolution of like musical styles and how they change over time, right?
Sure.
Yeah, I would say that, and it usually happens by somebody coming through with like a new way of thinking about this, right?
Sure.
I would say that John Mulaney is probably so successful and so extremely funny because that he has like a pretty different approach. I think that's one of the reasons why Robin Williams is always so funny. Like, have you ever seen any of his stand-up?
Yeah, it's like super ridiculous.
It's really fast paced. It's really outlandish, and it's a lot raunchier than what he does in mainstream.
Right, that makes sense.
And so he takes a lot of these things, combines them, and then he just hits you like we're going through like 5 stories in 2 minutes here. You just go boom, 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 and the level of energy that he provided was really, really rare. Like, he came out in a time where like Whoopi Goldberg was a big stand-up comedian, and who was another really good one? Sam Kinison. Yeah. So like these were a lot more like slower paced people that told.
Kinison was insane.
Sure. And
Kinison
like
was like legitimately insane.
And I'm not the biggest fan of his, but I appreciate.
I don't like his shit. Yeah.
I appreciate how his thing was like he'd get like legitimately like him and Dennis Leary both have a really good way of like presenting genuine anger on stage.
Sure, yeah.
And I like those are kind of some things that I've seen like people like be really successful with experimenting with. But I feel like when John Mulaney showed up and started doing stand up, he was just like he didn't just like he wasn't trying something out. Like he owned it hardcore and like ran with it like from start to finish. He never dips and varies his energy. Like this is very much his brand. Even when they did him and Nick Kroll did a special called Oh Hello on Broadway. Oh Hello on Broadway. Have you ever seen that? One of the best pieces of stand-up comedy I've ever seen. And every time I watch it, I laugh so hard I cry. And I've seen it like 6 times. It is, I would almost say it's almost reaching outside the boundaries of stand-up comedy. But when you know the backgrounds of both of them, it makes sense. It's just it has a little bit more theater to it. But God damn, dude, it's like a master class on how to craft jokes and be silly. Then, so I maybe Gabriel Iglesias changed, and I'm totally fine with that. I'm to be honest, I haven't heard any of his new stuff in a long time. But when I talked to you about him, I was referring to all the things that he had done towards the first couple years of his career.
Sure, yeah.
And I have not, and I will not see the Fluffy movie. Solely based on its name.
I was unaware that there was a Fluffy movie.
Yeah, when did that come out? 2014. It's a documentary. I'm still just so mad that they used that.
Okay.
That like they're just coasting that joke onto the name of the movie. It really upsets me. Part of it too just feels like it's a little like sellout-ish. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get it. It's the same thing that I feel when I talk about like pop music. But at the end of the day, I also have to admit that obviously something is being serviced for a wide amount of people, and there is some sort of value in that. So when I say, funny is funny, I'm mostly not even thinking about like this stuff. I'm mostly thinking about people who say, "Oh, that wasn't funny." Like when that last Chappelle special came out and everyone got super heated about it, I was like, and I heard a bunch of people saying like, "This isn't funny. The jokes aren't funny." All of a sudden, everyone turned into comedy snobs who never talk about comedy. Everyone just all of a sudden turned into like, "Oh, I am well aware of comedy and everything that it brings." And it's like, no, I've never seen you tweet one time about anything comedy related. Please shut up. And I was like, this wasn't funny. I was like, Turn on the fucking special. There are people laughing. You lose. That's just how the game works. Like, it's a comedy show. If the people at the comedy show are laughing, including the two neon-haired bitches who are standing right there, were also laughing, you lose. The game is over. You are done here. You're gone. Like, that's
Yeah.
really what I'm saying when I say funny is funny. And the same works for shit that I don't like. I don't like Nicole Hannah Gatsby. Like, I think they're more like sermons than they are like actual comedy shows. But people, if they give her laughs every once in a while. Then she throws a joke in there and people laugh. So I go, okay, what am I supposed to do? The people are laughing. I lose. That's it. Game over. You're gone. Like, it's just done.
So
So that's where I'm usually coming from. I understand what you're saying, which is like comedy
using
is
two words.
more than just what?
you're using two words and you're using them both correctly, but it seems like when you stop saying them, you equate them into one thing. So funny and comedy aren't the same thing.
If I look up comedy right now,
Yeah. Well, I'll look up comedy right now. I'll be the humble one.
a genre of fiction that consists of discourses or works intended to be humorous or amusing by inducing laughter, especially in theater, film, stand-up comedies, television, radio, books, or any other entertainment medium. This is from Wikipedia. Now, I guess we could have the philosophical conversation about what comedy is at that point. But I don't think I'm ever gonna get moved off of if it makes you laugh, it's comedy.
Okay, so when I say what something means, I'm always coming from the perspective of this is how I use it, this is how I think of it.
Sure, yeah.
I'm not saying Webster's needs to change it, but when I talk about it, I'm referring to specific things. And it seems like when you say the two words, when you're picking funny or comedy in your sentences, I agree with they align with my definitions perfectly, but then you talk about them and they like recombine into like this unified mass that I don't agree with. Does that make
Right.
sense? And that's, I
Yes.
think, where we have a lot of contention.
Yeah, I think I'm just code switching for you. I might just be code switching for you.
But well, you did say, like I said too, like the way that you put some people in the same like categories is kind of
I think
wild.
the same way you haven't listened to Gabriel Iglesias, and I haven't either, and you put him in a box, and you're like, oh shit, he might be different. Is the same way that I'm sure Jim Gaffigan is different. Like, I remember Jim Gaffigan when he was making like, oh no, didn't Jim Gaffigan have like a toaster joke or like a Pop Tart joke? I know.
Yeah.
I know Brian Regan also had like a Pop Tart joke, but like that's what I remember Jim Gaffigan being. It was just being the oh he's got like a cute little Pop Tart joke, and now it's it. Because I also used to watch comedy when I was like in my late teens and actually early teens. Like the reason, if I'm being completely honest, the reason why I'm a little weird is probably because I watched the fucking Eddie Izzard specials just a little too many times back then. Because now I fucking love her. I guess it's her now. Because she has transitioned. But she, at the time of I don't know if she's changed her name. I should probably, because this is like a Twitch thing now. I'm gonna fucking.
So yeah, Twitter still says Eddie Izzard.
Yeah, she still seems to call. Maybe she didn't transition. Am I making that up? I could have sworn to Christ that this.
So let me put it this way: when I see a picture of Eddie Izzard, I see 3 pictures that are very female presenting and 1 picture that is very male presenting. On Google.
Maybe he hasn't transitioned. I could have fucking sworn. Transition?
Oh, so when people like the Google result for although he began cross-dressing in his teens. The question is Eddie Izzard still married? Although he began cross-dressing in his teens and still continues to do so, Eddie Izzard is heterosexual. Last year, he confirmed he is single when asked about his relationship status. And
I'm looking
this
at
is
a
in 2018.
Vanity Fair in 2020 says Eddie Izzard says she's using female pronouns now.
Oh, okay. This is when?
2020.
Oh, okay. So there's that 2-year gap. Okay, so it seems like it was just I guess there was just like a lot of, how would I phrase that? Like a lot of experimenting with their gender identity to kind of figure out where they fit.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, it is kind of suss out by Googling.
It's a little difficult. Anyway, I used to watch Eddie Izzard quite a bit, which is probably why I fucking paint my nails and I like my hair long and I'm a weirdo. But um, I grew up watching comedy. Like, not probably. I probably didn't look into it as much as you did. Like, I didn't. I probably didn't. I was probably researching music stuff more than I was researching comedy stuff. But like, I was still watching Brian Regan, which is why I know that. I watched Jeff Dunham, and obviously I was a child, so I laughed because it's still kind of fucking funny when you're a child. I remember like Carlos Mencia, another show that I probably shouldn't have been watching that was like pretty funny to me. I remember watching
Mind of
Chappelle's
Mencia?
show. I did actually really like Mind of Mencia
Mind
back
of
then.
Mencia was good for the time.
It was just Hispanic Dave Chappelle. It was just like Beaner Dave Chappelle. Oh, you can't say Beaner, even though he says Beaner, but whatever. Like that's just what it was. It was just like, oh, it's like my people's sort of kind of version of Dave Chappelle's show. So I remember like growing up and watching all that thing, and I remember having kind of like, well, Jeff Dunham is like he's funny, but like Chappelle's like cooler, and like Louis C.K. is better. But it's like now, like the older I get, I guess maybe I'm just trying to find more joy in my life. So I just go like, it's just funny. So it's comedy, and comedy is supposed to make you laugh. So I just go blep. And then I have that little bit about the whole, it's not funny. So I almost have to take the position that like if it makes you laugh, it's funny. Because if I hold that position over there, I have to be like consistent the entire way through.
Sure. So, like, a big issue that I have with Gabriel Iglesias and Jeff Dunham is that the joke structures are very lazy and they lean on things that are not a part of like joke crafting to make a joke.
Storytelling.
Well, storytelling, yeah, or not always storytelling. Sometimes it's just making certain observations to bring you to where they're at. You don't always have to tell a story to do that. George Carlin's really good for saying just, you ever think about, and then saying like really like fucked up or silly things that you absolutely think about, but people just won't discuss.
Okay.
Like not a lot of people are going to get up on a stage and talk about you having a wedgie that's really bothering you while you're like getting married and doing your vows. Like,
okay.
So like that's not necessarily storytelling, but this is a way to bring people into the territory where now you're sort of in control of the narrative and you get to make them think about the things you need them to think about. It's a different way of controlling the narrative. Whereas like the call and response with the puppet, it's just telling like really simple jokes that if somebody told it outside of that context aren't funny at all. There's no elements that like you say, okay, this is what makes like the whole thing with Walter is that like I don't like my wife. Like it is pretty much centered around that. And like Peanut's probably the best one because it has a like the little like purple monkey puppet that he has.
Yeah.
Because it's unpredictable and chaotic. That's like kind of the theme there, and I think that's where he does the best stuff because it kind of has to like build into like a rapport before Peanut's actually funny. Well, look, man. You don't think I don't think about the fucking people that I criticize too? Come on.
No, I think you think about it just as much as I do about other things. It's just really funny now. That's all. Now I get to see the insanity from this angle. It's honestly hilarious.
And then like his, I looked this up too. I guess people's favorite puppet of his is Ahmed, and he's funny because it's extremely racist.
Yes.
Like there's not even really a joke. It's just like I'm gonna say things that people who are racist say about Middle Eastern people, and but I'm gonna make the puppet say it. So somehow that just makes it like completely acceptable. And like not that I think that you have to be like, but it's presented in such like a family friendly way. Like the way that I guess you get away with it being like almost family friendly to be like super racist when doing it.
I was gonna say, isn't that the point? Is that it's not like his whole entire shtick is that he looks, because he is a ventriloquist. He looks like, oh, it's gonna be like a blah 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 blah, and then he says terrible racist like things.
Well, prior to that, he didn't really. Like it would just like be borderlining like edgy. Like edging off this spot of like family friendly. Like he had like the jalapeno, and there was like the one joke was like there's a stick in his asshole, but like he wouldn't come right out and say it. But like that's about as far as it got, and like into like here is a dead terrorist, and like a lot of the jokes are going to be about like Islam or the fact that he's Middle Eastern, which which like if you look at from like a historical perspective now, that in and of itself is pretty funny that he got away with that. And then like nobody gave a shit.
To be fair, it was like he was doing that joke around 9/11, so I don't think there was much sympathy for those people during that time.
Well, I'm saying that if you look back now, just like if you were to watch that, you'd be like, oh my God, like this guy is just getting away scot-free, which a lot of comedians did, but I don't think a lot of comedians went that hard in the paint with like, I'm going to make this like whole little chunk just like super...
I mean, they did, they just didn't do it mostly at other races, or at least not as much at it. Because you still, again, I go back to the Dave Chappelle joke where he's liquor store, gun store, liquor store, gun store. So... like, but, that's pretty hard. He's talking about a baby. He's like, "What up, baby? Like, get in the car, baby. I'm gonna try." And he tries to sell him crack. Like, it's just like
it was weird, but yes.
So, my bad. But I mean, like, let's be honest. I love that special. Or, yeah. It's like it's pretty racist if you really think about it. But because it's a black guy saying it, it's fine. If Jeff Dunham had a brown Muppet. And he was named Tyrone, and he had a big oversized cap and saggy pants, and he said that joke, it would immediately go like, this is the most heinously racist. He could have ran that joke by Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle could have gave him that joke, and no one would know. And he could have said it, and you could have been like, oh my God, how could Jeff Dunham ever do that? It would be super racist. So it's like, on one hand, I go, yeah, you're right. The puppet it's a little racist, but that's kind of the point, is that it's like, I'm going to bring out this puppet and say racist things.
Yeah, but well,
it just goes back.
I guess my issue too, because I don't really mind race humor, but none of it was like clever in and of itself. Like if you told those jokes like that Ahmed told, like even if you're Middle Eastern, it's not funny. Like it's not like traditionally funny. It doesn't have like the structure of like how you would tell a joke, and that's what I don't like. That when I know. And so my issue isn't even like I think that they're terrible. Like I do agree they make people laugh, but I don't like when they get put. So both of them had like huge moments where they were like extremely famous for really lazy stand-up specials. Mm-hmm. That's what bothers me. The amount of fame and wealth accumulated while there's other people that are like seriously underappreciated, which is, you've talked about Brian Regan a few times. For a long time, I was like, he's such an underappreciated comic. His jokes are really smart and like really well put together and like structured and like ordered really well. And then when he got a lot more famous, his jokes got a lot worse.
Yeah, because he noticed the shtick that helps and that works. And I know he does like the thing where his eyes go wide and goes... like, yeah, I know, I get it. I know the thing. I understand. It was like fuck, what's his name? The guy who used to do like the trailers. Pablo Francisco.
Papa Francisco?
Pablo Francisco.
I say I'm bad with names. Let me look him up.
Pablo Francisco. I used to watch a lot of Comedy Central growing up when that was like how you got famous back then in like the early 2000s, was like to get a 30-minute special on I guess it was more like a 25-minute special.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And he was one of the comedians that popped up, and I thought he was really, really good. And then I would like, once the like YouTube started, and I was like, oh, let me look up Pablo Francisco. It'd be him like 4 years later, still doing the same exact jokes. They're still funny, but he does voices. He's like really good at voices, and he does like these like weird, like, what if Arnold Schwarzenegger, it's like, had like a silly trailer for a dumb movie, and then he would do the voices and all the things, and like that was funny. But yeah, he, like Brian Regan, he kind of just has the same like 5 jokes, and he kind of just reuses them over and over and over again.
Yeah, it really bothered me too, because like, do you remember the Blue Collar Comedy Tour, the first one when that came out?
I know of it. I don't know if I watched the first one necessarily, but I remember watching those. Yeah,
I thought it was really good. The whole
I thought they were really good too.
They knocked it out of the park. Every comic that came up there killed it. Jeff Foxworthy is one of like the most seasoned professional comedians that still does comedy. He's been around forever. Well, that's Bill Engvall. But that when the here's your sign thing, Jeff Foxworthy is the You Might Be a Redneck.
That's the one. Yeah, the big mustache having dude.
Yeah,
I think I liked Bill Engvall more than I liked Foxworthy.
I think by the time that came out, I think Bill Engvall had the same flavor, or it's like the same brand, but like a slightly different flavor. It
Yeah.
was like a little bit more updated because we're all used to the "you might be a redneck" jokes, but like
Right.
but I think Jeff Foxworthy had like the better storytelling, had like a slightly better stage presence. Bill Engvall felt a lot newer when it was going on, but
Right.
he was fine. It was like these wouldn't be things that I noticed until like later when I rewatched them and stuff. And Larry
Sure.
the Cable Guy, well, that was like his first time ever being exposed, and he was really really funny. And he's not that funny overall, but he brought like all his best stuff to that, and he
Yeah.
killed it. Ron White was there, and he killed it. Ron White retells jokes so much, and it's depressing because his whole presence is so good. The way that he drinks whiskey the whole time, and he looks down instead of at the crowd, and he huffs and he sighs,
Yeah.
and just like really exudes like the misery that's like behind all the stories that like make up, like the stories that he tells make up the life of like the depressed alcoholic that you see in front of you. That's good. Like he
might
paints
get-
a good picture.
He might get new jokes now. He's been to Shangri-La, so he might end up with new material now.
Those guys were all really good. Bill Engvall stayed good for a little bit. Larry the Cable Guy had like maybe like 1.5 more things going for him that were good.
Well, he had his movies and shit, and then after that, he took his money and ran. Like, he was
Yeah.
just gone.
And
I don't blame him. Like, I don't blame any of those dudes for just doing enough to like, okay, I'm done. I'm gone. That's it. I'm excising myself from society with my money, and you will never see me again.
Sure, but I guess the thing that really hits me hard is, so I lived in the thumb of Michigan, which is hillbilly central. We got as many hillbillies as Alabama does in the thumb. Maybe even a higher ratio. There might be a higher ratio in the thumb of Michigan. My uncle's from Alabama, and I've seen him out hillbillied in the thumb. All right, like even the level, like the percentage of illiteracy up there is staggering. Like I would have never like guessed. I found out a lot of people that I knew, like parents couldn't read and stuff, and
Jesus.
so like not saying that they're inherently bad people because they're hillbillies.
But
Sometimes it lends itself to it with the kind of values that are had, and I know that the kind of jokes that are like the Blue Collar Comedy Tour has jokes that have very widespread appeal, but they hit harder, when they're like talking about the same kind of lifestyle that you live. It's more of a, instead of it
Right,
being
yeah.
ridiculous to somebody who's not like a blue collar like conservative guy, which is like the main demographic. It's still
Yeah.
funny because of the ridiculousness, and like we're at least aware of these things. I hate the phrase "get her done" so fucking much, you have no idea.
I mean, I would imagine they all kind of had their thing, except for Wrong White. I think it might be a Southern thing. I wonder if it is like a Southern thing, because they all have like that calling card that like, hey, like here's your sign, and you might be a redneck, and yeah, get her done. So
And
Wrong White seems to be the only one that didn't have anything like that. So I'm assuming it's like a
he
Southern thing.
had the tater salad story, which he told during every special he ever had.
Yeah,
It wasn't as catchy.
yeah, well, yeah, because it's not like a thing. It's not like a calling card. It's not like that thing. Like here's your
Yeah.
sign or whatever the fuck. He just
Which
had
is
the
probably why he was
story.
less successful, because you couldn't immediately tag it onto him.
Which is funny because he's like the funniest one. Like out of the three of them, he was like the funniest one.
Yeah,
Probably because he wasn't as like Southern.
Well, he probably was. He didn't make it his entire bit. I imagine he probably had just as much like background, like growing up in the South, as any of the other ones.
Right,
that
yeah,
were
yeah.
on it. But like I knew several girls in my high school that ended up getting get her done tattoos, and when I see comedians having such a huge influence over like people like that, when like the reason why you get the tattoo is like because you like of an artist's thing is because you like the art. Generally speaking, right?
I don't have any tattoos. I wouldn't know.
Like if you got a tattoo of like a band's logo or their lyrics, you probably really like that, right? Because it's not like a thing. You're not getting like a butterfly. You're not getting like a skull. because like I just want that thing, whatever. You're picking a particular person's art and putting it on you.
I would. I almost want to agree, but the problem is that I had an ex-girlfriend who got a tattoo of a band that I liked that even I wouldn't get. Like, and she got it. If I'm being honest, it's because it looked pretty.
Okay.
So I unfortunately know that person.
So sure, and maybe I've wandered too far off from my point, but my point is that the amount of overhype that like one special caused, as opposed to people who like really like deserve the like status in like the category of comedy, it just really gets under my nerves. It's like you have God. It's like being frustrated that like the Backstreet Boys were really popular, and nobody gave a shit about like musicians that put a lot of hard work and energy into like honing their craft instead of like algorithming like a catchy chorus that people were just going to play on the radio 30 times a day until everybody couldn't get that out of their head. Like
Yeah.
there's merits to both of those things, sure, but I would say that one of those has a really strong merit in music and the other one has a really good merit in marketing. Like they like am I right? Well, you have masters of both too. Like the Beatles were probably the best example of people that had like marketing and music like very well balanced. Like they were the first band to ever sell T-shirts of them, and they always had like they did like the really like good like artsy posters and stuff that really helped add to their image. But they like people still talk today about like how like the choices that they made musically and they influenced a ton of people. I don't think that if 50 years from now we're going to talk about how this great new band was influenced by like Nick Cannon. Right?
I mean, there's a possibility that there are people out there who are famous who have been
Sure, but or no, I mean I didn't mean to say Nick Cannon. I meant to say Nick Carter. That's the Backstreet Boy, right? Aaron Carter's older brother.
yeah.
That's what I meant. That's what I meant.
To be fair, he's also not that popular. So
But he was a Backstreet Boy.
he was, but I don't think he's going to do anything for it. Doesn't matter.
That's my point. He was insanely popular for a while.
Yeah, no, I trust me. Like, I of course I understand. Like, I've already kind of fought through this thing with music. Is that eventually like I have my moments where I can get like I can access that hatred within me. It's deep. It sits like a black pit inside of me at almost all points in time when I'm talking about anything artistic because it's always just kind of there. But I've learned to kind of just go like, shut up. Like, it's just shut up and let people enjoy things. So my thing with music is the same thing with that's literally like it's the same thing with like you in comedy, which is in my head I go, it's insane to me that people listen to what I would consider hot dog shit because it's just kind of what's presented to them, and like legitimately good artists end up being not pushed. But I then have to go, well, what else can people do? Like, thankfully, the internet exists. So now those comics and those musicians who don't usually get as much play can now get play because obviously their shit can be seen by millions of people as opposed to 40 people in like the back room of a bar somewhere. So it's getting better, but at the same time, and this is usually what I end up falling into when I talk about art in general, which is why I know my anime take pisses you off and pisses Liz off, which I just end up going, I think people, the general populace, does not want deep, introspective things. I think every once in a while you can hit a balance of introspection and like the Beatles and marketing. But that shit is one in a bajillion.
It's once in a lifetime.
And
or
it
generation.
doesn't it just doesn't happen. So I end up going to the I mean if I'm being serious, it's like a very cynical, nihilistic take on art. But I just end up going, I think most people they don't consume art in a introspective fashion. I think they, just like they don't want to dive too deep into their emotions. There's my Mr. Girl showing. Is the same way that they don't want to dive too deep into art, because art, to some extent, is just an expression of emotions. And people don't want to tackle more than the little layer at the top. They don't usually want to go deeper than that. So when I have my anime takes, is I'm sure that there are like good animes that do strike that balance of like, it's popular, but at the same time you should watch it. It is very good in like these very like, in these specific aspects.
Oh, absolutely.
But I think just like any other art, the reason why most things become popular is because they cater to the 99% of like these like very simple versions of emotions, and they don't go any deeper because no one wants to go any deeper. They just want to go, yes, I am good because I have these traits, and that person is bad because they have those traits, and good will prevail. And then they proceed to go, and you're like, oh, good, yeah, a bad blue. And that's awesome. There's nothing wrong with that. The same thing with Marvel, and the same thing with all this. I say the same shit for literally everything with art. It's like I understand it. I get it. And to be honest, the fucking time it goes. It just keeps going. So you kind of have to keep saying the same shit over and over and over again because new people are born, and you have to teach those stupid motherfuckers like how the rest of life works. So you do have to kind of keep retelling the same stories because we're all stupid and we all forget, and it's just how it has to be. And most media and entertainment and art is unfortunately catered to youth. Like most old people, like they consume movies here and there, they do their thing, right? But like most of like the popular media is shit that's always marketed to like young children, young teens, late teens, early 20s. So that's why we have like Kesha and Nicki Minaj, and that's why we like Naruto and DBZ.
I do.
Well, you don't. I get it. But what does that mean that you like Kesha and Nicki Minaj?
No, I don't like Naruto. I think it's bad. And
Sure,
I like,
yeah.
and I like DBZ.
Oh, okay. I see. But yeah, it's the same thing. That's what I mean. It's like usually for art, that's where I fall, which is just like I don't think most people engage with art much more than like with comedy. So comedy, what you're trying to do with comedy is get people to laugh. So if they laugh, that's all they want. They paid their ticket. They paid for their ticket. They just want to have a drink. And you can ask this. I've heard comics say this. Like people just like, it's Friday night. They had a hard week. All they want to do is go to the club, have a drink or two, and just watch some dude talk shit. And that's enough for them.
I think when we talk about people that are really masters of the craft, though, like David Glass is one that I didn't bring up that really shines special.
Is it the guy who played
Tobias Funke?
It's David Cross, not David Glass.
David Cross.
Right?
I'm sorry. Jesus.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm so bad with names. Oh my God.
You're good.
I feel
I'm
so
really
bad
good with names. It's why it's unfortunate.
Yeah, David Cross is absolutely S tier comedian. He's good in like everything that he does. Like from Mr. Show, like Tobias Funke, his stand up is phenomenal. If you've never seen his stand up, I know a lot of people who are like big fans of roles he's played that's never seen his stand up. Like, have you watched Arrested Development?
I mean, when it first came out, yeah.
His lines are all improvised. Tobias Funke is somebody that he actively makes up as he goes in all the sets for Arrested Development. For the true mockumentary feel, all the sets are complete. Characters can walk wherever they want. If there's a house, that's a whole ass house. They can walk wherever they want to.
Right.
So they just told David Cross, just go be an insane repressed homosexual and who can't ever be naked, and just explore that to your heart's content. And he does an amazing job. And
I would say so, yeah.
And like when he's on stage, he does a really good job of the thing that I think that I feel like when you're talking about when you're like breaking down, like people saying like, I just want to go to the club and I want to laugh. You're right. But what ends up happening with the really good comics is that they do laugh and they don't even realize that they're being tricked or like coerced into being introspective behind the scene. Like George Carlin's really, really good at that. So like Louis C.K. is really good at doing this in a subversive and kind of in your face way, because I'm really, really big fan of how he structures his jokes. So what he'll usually do is he'll when he especially when he moves on, like he'll start a transition by saying like a really outrageous claim, and you're like, what? Like he's the one that he's like, I called my barista the N word today, and like not in a bad way, and he was white,
Yeah,
and you're
not
like,
the, yeah, and he says not. Nah, I mean, literally the N word. Is that what it is?
well, no, he said he's used the hard R and everything, but
Oh,
then you're
okay.
like, oh, why would you do that? And so
Oh,
he makes a
please.
ridiculous,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
and he's like, well, he's like, oh, it wasn't racist or anything. He wasn't even black. And so like you're like holding these like premise and like conclusion are both like really far detached, which you're like, how? And then he splits apart the two sentences that he said, and he fills it in with a great story that takes you on an adventure that makes the thing okay.
Sure.
I really, really like that because the initial shock of the premise and conclusion being together just sort of like sets your brain blank, and then he can get in there and tell a silly story that will kind of like reshape how you think about maybe people using that word in certain contexts might make it not as bad. By the end you're laughing, and then now that's just a part of your brain that like that occurred, and I'm not upset about it.
Right. No, he has a really good SNL bit when he was still allowed to do SNL bits, where he talked about how he likes almond joys and how he probably loves almond joys as much as pedophiles love children. And then he obviously compared how much he likes to like he's like, oh, it's in my mouth and it's so good, and it's like that must be what it feels like. And then you can hear everyone going like, oh, he's like, no, no, wait, I'm not saying, I'm saying they probably like children as much as like, and it's obviously like this, like it's supposed to be this stammering like I'm falling my way through this joke kind of thing, and then it ends with him going like, oh hey, we're done now, we can just we can continue with the rest of the show, and this is cool. So no, I get it. Again, it just ends up being it just ends up being the same thing, which is just like no matter what you say, it doesn't matter. You get the Louis C.K.'s and the Dave Chappelle's. They're sort of kind of. I don't even know if Dave Chappelle is really one of a kind necessarily. Like, comedy is strange in that that spark seems to hit a little faster than like music or something like that. But I don't know why. Um,
I
um,
I think when you do it in a way, like I think that's what makes the special one special is because people don't know that they're being moved when it happens. When music hits you and you're really moved by like that's why I like comedy as a form of art. I think it's really unique. Like when you watch a movie and it makes you cry, you know why you're crying. You know? You know why you're feeling what you're feeling. When you listen to music and it's hitting really good, and the way that like the instruments are kind of moving you through like the story of the lyrics, and you're kind of like feeling all the like it really like creates an environment around you. Like you get a really good song that sort of like creates an environment for like whatever's trying to be expressed, and you go through the whole thing, like you're very present with like the whole point. And sometimes you can like kind of go back and pick apart like, well, what were they really trying to say? But it's a lot different than when somebody tells a really good bit and you laugh and stuff. And it's almost like it's almost like a weird form of like brainwashing therapy, where like I'm gonna take something that you think is wrong, or that you have a really strong opinion about, and I'm gonna move you on that a little bit in one way or another, in one direction or the other, and you're not really gonna know that it's happening, and you're going to enjoy yourself while it's happening, so that when you reconnect with these themes, you're going to have this same kind of feeling associated with it as well,
yes.
which is incredible. Which is why it's so scary when people attack comedy. I'm like, you don't understand that it's one of the best tools that an artist has to actually make change, because
I
your guard's not up.
I think the same way that you think that I'm doing like you were saying that I'm like I'm kind of adding comedy and funny,
Hmm.
and like I'm tearing them apart at specific times and putting it together when I feel like it. I think you want comedy plus. I think that's what you enjoy. So you like comedy, and you can understand that comedy is meant to make you laugh and is supposed to be funny, but you enjoy comedy plus, which is you want comedy that not only makes you laugh, but also makes you think.
Well, no, that's the thing that I'm getting at is that you're not necessarily, you don't really have to think about it when just being along for the ride creates a different association with social things or with like interpersonal things that you would normally have to be introspective about. It's like a vehicle that allows you to take an introspective ride without having to like you don't feel like you have to put your seatbelt on, you know? You're just along for this really chill ride, and by the end of it, you end up a little bit different. And I think I would say that the tradition of like social commentary and just like changes within how we view things throughout society is completely intertwined in comedy. And sure, not every single comedian does it, but when we look at the comedians that we would consider the great ones that are like broadly accepted to be the greats, they all do it. And I think that that's a part of the standard that a lot of people aren't when a lot of people that are like really overhyped. I think that it's just that a lot of the stuff is really lazily put together within. So I would say like the big elements that make comedy good would be just like the quality of their writing, in regards to their intent, because you can do really bad writing on purpose and have it be really good and funny. So like the quality of writing, like based on the intent, the actual message that you're putting out. I can like literally feel Cam and Ray's comments hitting me right now. I can't see them.
Cam was just like, so what Elder is saying is that the fart isn't enough. We got to get a good whiff. And then I'm also laughing because you sound like what I sound like when I go, look, noise music, it's not music. But every once in a while, if you put it in like a thing, it's not too bad. It's like, yeah, bad writing, it can be bad. However, sometimes if you do it in the right way, it can be good. And that's all I hear.
Like ironic noise music.
Yes.
I make noise music ironically.
But that's what I'm saying is that like I have bad writing, ironically. It can still work. It can still work. Even if but the same way I don't listen to noise music, I'm not going to like, I'm going to subject myself the one time to Pulse Demon so that I can make a review about it at some point or another. But like, I'm not going to ever go out of my way unless I have a fucking brain injury at some point after I do the review. I'm probably never going to listen to like a full noise song ever again, right? I'll enjoy it in things like metal music tends to use noise music quite a bit. The Mars Volta, which is like a prog rock, like post-hardcore punk band, whatever the fuck you want to call them, they use noise quite a bit to an extent that like I end up skipping songs because the motherfuckers have a 14-minute song and it ended 7 minutes and like 47 seconds in, and then the last like 8 minutes is just like, and it's like, I don't understand why you're doing this. Is it supposed to mean? And it's like, I'm done. So I'll skip it. But when you say that, I just hear the things that I normally think, but then I've just learned that like it's just I don't have faith in people anymore. Is really what it is. Is that I think most people, I don't think they're stupid. In fact, they might be intelligent. Mm-hmm. Maybe they've noticed that like if I dig too deep into my own emotions, into my own psyche, and I end up being a little too introspective, I just hate my fucking life. And they don't want to deal with that part because that part kind of sucks. So it's just kind of funny to watch Louis C. Look, I like Louis C.K. joke, that specific SNL Louis C.K. joke, because I do think that in an almost Mr. Girl kind of way, he is sort of like subverting you and then kind of going like, hey, look, like you could take away all the joke and all the funny and be like, what he's actually trying to say is that, hey, maybe pedophiles can't help it. Maybe that's just who they are. The way I like almond joys and I fucking want to like just feed myself constantly full of them is the same way that these motherfuckers have no choice. Like they look at it like an almond joy. And the same way I want to fucking tear apart an almond joy is the same way this dude wants to tear apart a child. So if you just take all of it away, that's what he's saying, right?
Which is still inherently funny.
It is, but I think most people just kind of enjoy it on like a base level. They enjoy the gallows humor of it, but they're not.
Sure.
I don't think they're going and I don't think most people. I should say it's not like nobody
Sure.
does it, but I don't think most people are going past that level. I think they go, I'll enjoy children, and then that's it for them. Like they just go, I'm done. I don't need anything more than that.
So I think that it's inevitable that if they weren't mad when the joke was being told and they're laughing about it, I think that there is automatically some sort of supplanted empathy for what he's talking about now that they're not aware of. Like I think you can hear it and be aware that it's happening when you're hearing the joke, and you can hear it and not be aware that it's happening when you're hearing the joke, because you're actually creating a positive experience with the subject matter. Do you know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. We're on the same page.
Okay.
Just so we're clear, we're literally on the same page. The only difference is that I'm more cynical than you are. I think that's where we're at right now. Is that like I have all the same ideas that you have, except my shit doesn't stop at like comedy or music. It just goes further to like art in general. And then I've already got like my thing, which is I don't think people really want to tackle or grapple like complex ideas and emotions within their art. I think they just want to see or hear or smell or feel pretty things that make them feel better before finding the next thing that will also make them feel better. I think that's how most people uh, view, like, just they interact with. And I say that as someone who doesn't seem to interact with music the same way that everyone else does. That isn't to say that I don't get emotional and that I don't have my songs that like I like and shit like that. But I definitely like I've I've noticed a lot more often now that I'm on the internet and like giving my ideas out. But just like talking with people, I've noticed that like I don't consume music and interact with it the same way that everyone else does. Like people I don't have like a ton of friends. I don't talk to a ton of people, but like the few ones that I do have who also end up being weird in their kind of ways. Like they will tell me like you have an odd way of looking at like this, like, you know, at art or like this specific thing in general. So I think like you and me, we're kind of the same in like how we see art, which is like we want art to do better, and we do want art to like be more than just like the, oh, this is nice kind of feeling, and we do want it to make us think and be introspective. But I think we're normally just kind of thinky, introspective people, and then we also enjoy, like most people, some type of art, and therefore we like art, which is then introspective and allows us to kind of like tackle with emotions, which is why I like The Good Place.
The Good Place is
It's phenomenal.
it's the best sitcom.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's got no reason to be as good as it is, and it is. Because
Yeah.
not only is it like legitimately hilarious, but like
Yeah.
the fucking trolley question is in the thing. And even then, the trolley question is in the thing, and then they end up like they just go like, "Fuck it, why are we doing this?" Like they even go past that and just go like, "No, why? We don't have to. We don't have to do anything." Like it's just, I don't like the ending all that much. I understand that it's the logical conclusion, so I don't hate it necessarily. I just go like maybe I'm just like nihilistic in that sense, where I just go like, maybe I wish it turned a little darker or something like that. Like I just wanted a little extra like edge at the end of it. But I think it ended like where it could logically end, with a nice little like bow at the end with fucking what's his face, Ted Danson.
You know, I really like the ending because Michael
No,
goes
yeah.
Michael goes through the whole thing, and then what is
Right.
he what like the end result of it is the one thing they criticized. Chidi criticized moral desserts really heavily in the beginning, and they
Yes.
and they take that idea to the point to where moral desserts becomes getting into heaven, and there's an entire
Right.
season about how like they can't get into heaven because
Yeah.
moral desserts is bad, but then but the demon gets his moral desserts. He was good enough to where now he gets his reward for being moral. I think,
Right,
but
it-
and it's the opposite of what everybody else wants.
So
So
you could
like
almost argue that like So you keep on.
They flip the entire idea on its head by saying like humans want to get into heaven as their like moral desserts, but because it's exactly that, they can't have it.
Yes,
They
yeah.
But when the demon, who is like the embodiment of evil, becomes good, he gets his moral desserts, which is
Right.
going from heaven and going back to earth. So like they mirrored the entire concept from like for demon to human. I thought it
I was
was
gonna say,
really
like,
clever.
he's a demon, and then like you could argue that like his purgatory was something like helping essentially like the humans, like because didn't he like he stuck around till they all left, right? Or am I making that part up? They spoilers to anyone who hasn't seen The Good Place.
Yeah, that's a good idea. You might want to mute for like a minute and a half.
Nah, fuck everybody. If you haven't watched The Good Place, it really doesn't matter. The show isn't about like it's not about like the story is nice, that's fine, but like it's about like the ideas and like the characters and like the comedy, like all that shit is still intact. I don't think it's gonna ruin everything if I like say what the ending is. But if I remember correctly, I think Michael like is the last thing. So they all die. They all choose it. They all go like, and I'm done. It's over. And I think it's just him and the the heaven AI, I guess I don't remember her name, Janet. And then they go like, okay, you're gonna go to Earth now. Like you forget all your memories and all this bullshit, and you're gonna own a bar in like the middle of I forget what the fuck it was. But like yeah, like you could argue like that was his heaven to some extent. Was like finally getting to be like the human that he sort of eventually kind of wanted to turn into.
And that's what completing heaven is for them too.
Right, yeah. Yeah, and eventually he'll die and then he'll just end up in the same place and then that'd be a nice fun little like aside thing. Just be like, and Michael returns. That'd be cool. But it doesn't need to happen. I don't know.
No, I think it would hurt it because the best thing about The Good Place to me was that they had so much that they could have milked and it been still just as good. Like they could have.
I mean, they could have got a whole season off of that last bit.
Or even the first season. They could have doubled the number of episodes in the first season and explored all the different things that they could have done with the heaven before they really bled into like the second half plot. And there was a part of me that was like, I really wish we could have explored. But I was like, you know what? No, they didn't disrespect me at all in terms of like, why don't we just try to make more money off this? They're going to tell the story they wanted to tell at an appropriate fast like pace that tells the story, and they're not going to milk it at all. And like, damn, I'm so used to people just giving me what I want that I was a little upset at first, but I was like, the integrity of the writing team was phenomenal in that respect. It was just so good. They didn't stretch out anything past where it had to.
You sound like an artsy fartsy hipster right now.
I fucking love The Good Place. It has like my two favorite things. It's like comedy and philosophy put together.
Yeah. Yeah, which is why this is what I mean. You like your stand-up comedy plus. You like the comedy plus the philosophy. You enjoy not just the ha 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 ha, ha but you like the stuff that comes in it, and because of who you are, you like the stuff that comes after, which is when you're done, and then you wake up tomorrow and you think about the joke again, and you're like, why is that joke funny? And then you kind of go like you like a watchmaker, you fucking take it apart and then you put it back together, and then because that's what you like doing. The same way that I like sitting there and listening to like an album of like my favorite artist and going like, okay, so he decided to do this here and that here, and then he turned the guitar up here, but he changed it to like a different sound over here, and then the drums do this, and like it's the same way. It's the same exact thing. And then I end up appreciating people who don't just do the normal stuff, the normal like Katy Perry stuff and Kesha stuff. I don't know why those two are in my fucking head. Or Billie Eilish. That's the new. I guess she's not cheery, but she's the new white blonde chick for everyone to fucking fall in love with. But it's like I'm sure that even they have like good shit in those things. It's just the music that they make is obviously like one, it's not for me because that's kind of how music works. Is that like it's a combination of sounds, and if I don't like the combination of sounds that's coming towards my ears, I'm not gonna fucking want to hear it. But also at the same time, I don't think that most of them are really saying much of anything in their songs. And you could read their lyrics, and a lot of time it's they're repeating the same like 7 things about heartbreak or finding love or being sad or being really happy or whatever it is. But no one's really ever like digging much deeper than that.
Yeah, so maybe I think when you're explaining this, I think I understand my frustration with the things that you say when we were arguing in your Discord. Is that I know that you have the capacity to understand what I'm saying and appreciate the same things. So when I say something's overhyped, you're like, oh, well, is it really? Like, motherfucker, I know if I talk to you, like, there's no good faith way that you can interact with me and say that, like, this isn't happening.
Exactly.
But and sometimes I have a hard time telling if, like, you just haven't been presented it in the way that makes you go, oh, obviously, or if you're fucking with me because it's text a lot.
Yeah.
We don't have a lot of verbal exchanges, and as everybody in your Discord knows, my IQ is like 40 points lower in text
That's
than
not
it.
true. Oh, well, in text, yeah. In text.
Yeah. When I'm communicating purely in text, my IQ drops. I miss words when I read. I typo like crazy, and I don't fully express my thoughts well.
Yeah.
So I have a really hard time understanding if that's the case, and I needed this to happen because I had to fucking know. You know, I need to know that because you have the capacity. You're not the kind of person that's going to surface level. When I say Gabriel Iglesias is an overhyped comedian,
yeah,
that should mean what I say that it means to you when I say it. Yeah. And I'm not. It's not like I'm bumping into somebody on the street who's like listening to like the Fluffy movie audio while he's walking through the grocery store. Be like, what the fuck are you doing? Don't you know that like the last 2 stand-up specials of George Carlin are groundbreaking from the like explain about? That's not what I'm doing. Yeah. I'm talking to somebody who is fully aware that, and part of it too is that I know that you're also fully aware that comedy is legitimately being threatened right now. The ability to tell jokes and to have that ability to influence society through whether it be storytelling or creating a shared moment between the performer and the audience by simply making an observation. This is like, there's no other way to say that it's not under attack when people are literally being attacked for doing it. This isn't like a Fox News war on America. This is like literally people saying like if we're not attacking you, like we actually want to physically harm you for doing this. And so
yeah, I mean we already had the Chappelle incident like 2 months ago. Yeah.
Right. And so it freaks me out a little bit more to think that like maybe in 20 years from now, the Fluffy joke will be like a god tier comedy to most people, and we won't have like really clever, well structured jokes anymore that kind of get a point across.
I think we're already there. I think Fluffy is already enjoyed by millions of people. It's kind of why it's kind of why you're angry at the fact that I put him in the same tier as Jim Gaffigan.
Okay, so I think that has a lot to do with accessibility more than like people think that like that broadly like there's a broad appreciation for him, but I don't know if there's a great one, and I don't like that conflation. So it's like if I like eating chocolate, I think Hershey's pretty good. I'm about to be stunned if somebody said Hershey's is amazing. Is the best. It's so fucking good. Like somebody's like, you think it's the best? Like, well, it might not be the best, but it's probably like top 5. Like, motherfucker, like eat a Ferrero Rocher. It costs $1 for like this much fucking chocolate, as opposed to like a whole ass bar. Eat that and you really fucking think that that's the same? Like, they're both chocolate, but like, tell me that these are even comparable in taste and complexity. You know, like that it's kind of coming from that vein. Like they might share a lot of ingredients, but the way this one's put together is like demonstrably better. Like even if you think like, even if like maybe you can't appreciate it, like when you eat it, you're like, well, this is probably better made. Like I still like the other thing better, but I would have to concede because like I really don't like country music, right? But I can still tell the difference. I think I still have a strong opinion about what is good and bad country, even if I don't enjoy either of them. I don't like the way almost any of it sounds, but I feel like I can suss out like, oh, this is a much higher quality country song than this is.
It's funny because I have a coworker who likes country music, and whenever I show him my country stuff, he goes, "Nah." That's why.
I guess it's like not demonstrably better or worse. Well, I don't know. Like some people actually like things that are bad too, right?
Yeah, but they don't like it thinking that it's bad. The people who listen to pop music think it's good, and it is good in theory. In literal theory, it is good. Yeah.
So yeah, like I don't think we would take other things that could be considered like very artistic that takes a lot of skill and practice to get down and say like, well, it's pretty subjective. If you have a professional skateboarder and a dude who's been skateboarding for 2 years and just sort of been doing his own thing, I don't think anybody could watch like their like presentation of what they're capable of doing. Like, but they're both basically the same. I mean, really, just like how you interpret how cool the skateboarding is really subjective. Like, no, that guy's better. Like you don't get to argue with me. That guy is better. He fucking jumped over a fucking car and licked the bottom of his skateboard and like did a cartwheel onto it. That guy fell when he did a manual. Like, do you know what I mean? There's a certain point in which things that are like well practiced and developed and in some artists, because you can't say that like skateboarding's not like it's not like robot mechanical. There are mechanics to it, but it's still like developing routines and tricks as an art. It's a presentation. Yes.
Yeah, I'm an aggressive inline skater, so yeah.
Yeah. So, but like, it would be ludicrous to have somebody make the comparison to like somebody who, doesn't really isn't good at it versus somebody who's literally like an X Games gold medal winning pro. Well, it's pretty subjective on who was better, wouldn't you say? Like, just shut the fuck up. Like, no way it's not.
Yeah,
Like,
but so I'm telling you, I think I've already ran through most of these like thought patterns like in the past like 15 years because
there's nothing wrong with that guy skating bad.
You're
It's cool.
preaching to the choir. You're preaching to the choir. Because I would say the same thing. I go, well, what's the point of saying something is good or bad in music if we have nothing to like kind of compare it against? So
Yeah.
like I go like when people go like the best guitar, like the best drummer is Dave Grohl because he played for Nirvana and then he plays drums for Foo Fighters in concerts, and I go like, you're out of your stupid fucking mind. Dave Grohl sucks dog dicks. I love Dave Grohl. Dude's awesome. He's mad cheery. He seems like a super chill dude. Like he seems like super down to earth despite being like super rich and being in two unbelievably successful rock bands, having a fantastic voice, being like halfway decent at guitar or whatever the fuck. But like people go like, he's one of the best drummers. And I go, no. And then I end up, and it's kind of why I like, it's not even kind of why, it's why I like metal. Metal artists, and in particular, not even just metal artists, but like jazz artists and like there are artists in every genre who are just constantly pushing what is capable of a human being within these. You just keep knocking your light over.
I know. It's in a better spot, but I got to find a way to anchor it better.
But the same, yeah. But I'm gonna just skip all the bullshit and go back to Dave Grohl is not the best drummer in the world. I like metal and jazz and all these very weird hipster things, and just the way I go through music is that like I don't care what genre I'm in, I don't care what land I'm in, I don't care what the fucking buildings look like. I just want to see good shit. And to me, good shit is people trying more than just like writing another sad song in the key of C minor about how you lost your boyfriend or whatever, right? Like I want to hear people who have like sat for hundreds of thousands of hours perfecting their craft and then going, here you go. Because even at its worst, even if I go like, I don't like it, I can still go, but this person and this band has legitimate talent that no one else has, or that very few have, or something like that. You know what I mean? So when I think of like best drummers, and people go like, and people always put like Joey Jordison, the old drummer from Slipknot, on like
Joey.
top 10 lists, and I like him.
I don't know about that.
Insofar of that, like I like Slipknot, but like the dude he's not that good. He's really sloppy, and you can hear it in the albums. In the older albums, they didn't record to a click. Joey didn't have a click in his ear, so he didn't know what the tempo was. You can hear him go up and down and up and down. Thank you, JRam TV24 for the follow. Thank you, sir, or ma'am, whatever you identify as. But Joey, if you listen to old albums, the dude is all over the place in tempo. Songs go from one tempo and then they slow down and then they speed up because they're all dependent on, he wants to go as fast as possible, but he can only go as fast as Joey can go. And the man, I think he had a gift, but I don't think he ever sincerely practiced and honed in his thing. I think he just like, he was really good at going fast and he was really clean at times. And he just did as fast as he could go for the thing that he needed to do. So if something was kind of like really hard, it would slow down because he had to slow it down for the sake of like a blast beat or a double bass thing or whatever the fuck. But once it's like, he's like, I can do this part a little faster. So he would speed up. So it's like he's fine, but like best drummer, like top 10 in the world. Get the fuck out of here. The dude I don't think the dude scratches top 100. There are like, I've met gospel musicians like in churches who are fucking nuts. I mean like proper nuts. Like gospel musicians are
Love proper nuts.
Gospel musicians are on an echelon that no one understands. Like the dudes are freaks of nature. I've met these gospel dudes. I've played in church bands. They're legitimate. Like they all know, all the keyboardists know theory, and not just theory, but jazz theory, and they can improv on the spot. Most of them have amazing relative pitch. If not, they've developed almost like borderline perfect pitch at times. The drummers have chops, and oh my god, I can't do it justice. Because it's just nuts. But no one knows. There's like this there's a layer of crazy that no one ever will understand because they won't ever find like a gospel band. They're gonna go like, it's church music and Christianity is stupid, me, and they're gonna ignore it. But they're gonna ignore like legitimate beasts, like dudes who have sold their soul to God, as far as I can tell, for their abilities, because they're actual freaks. So to me, I go, it's unfortunate that people are gonna think that Joey Jordison, bless his heart, or the Reverend from
Avenged Sevenfold.
Avenged Sevenfold. Again, God bless his heart. They seem like decent people, although obviously they had like shitty pasts and whatever the fuck, right? But they're not the best. They're not the best in terms of like technique. They're not the best in terms of speed. They're not they're just the best in terms of like they were able to hit it as hard as they were when they were alive. These two specific examples, and they were really popular. So it's like they hit the mark. They hit the what the fuck am I? The jackpot. They just did it. You know what I mean? But it's like no one's
Yeah,
gonna
they have
know
the X factor.
Yeah, these freaks, but there's like freaks out there that no one knows about. They're quiet. To go back to my point before, thankfully the internet exists, and now these freaks are being shown. They still don't get too much, but like thankfully they're, at least people are starting to see like, oh, wait a minute, like I have never listened to a full Thundercat song, but anytime I've like heard the dude like on a live thing, he's a monster. Like the dude's a legitimate monster. And I think that it's really cool that someone like Thundercat can get popular now, because like a few years ago, he just would have been some dude.
Yeah. Have you ever heard Joey sing?
Joey Jordison?
Yeah.
I like caught, because I know he was like, he played guitar for the Murder Dolls.
Murder Dolls. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I fucking love Murder Dolls.
I couldn't stand them.
But let's go in music share.
Couldn't stand them.
I think we're gonna go with Die My Bride.
Oh my
or
god.
Or either that or Twist My Sister.
Yeah, no, I was not a fan of that band. I did like the Rev singing. The Rev like had a fucking great screaming voice.
I knew you wouldn't like the Murder Dolls. I do think they're probably objectively bad. But they're just
no.
They're
I don't know. Look, they're probably objectively fine, is what they are.
They're just like canned teenage horror fan angst.
Sure. Yeah.
And if you have that, it hits real good. If you don't, it's like, no, we're not doing this today.
I mean, again, the little bit that I've heard it's just not my thing.
Yeah, I don't think it's almost anybody's, but I love them. And when I listen to it, I can hear all the things that like audibly offend people.
Yeah.
and I still appreciate it, but I don't pretend that it's great, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of my frustration.
I would never say that like Gabriel Iglesias is great. I just go like, he makes people laugh, therefore it is comedy.
Well, my contention was when I say he's overrated, right? That's when we started arguing. I think that they're seriously overrated.
Yeah,
So, like, for
because
instance, I wouldn't say
it's
that
like
Murder Dolls are underrated. I just really like them.
no, but you might say like Hurt is underrated.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
and I hear butt rock, so that's it, right? Is it like we
I
just kind of pick these spots where
I
we're
think
like, this
you
is
you
good and
have
this
heard
isn't.
butt rock, but I don't think even all the songs that you've heard you would put in that category.
No, I'm sure Hurt doesn't always make
No,
butt
no,
rock.
I'm saying the songs that you've heard, not all of like the House Carpenter, the one that has like the loopy like song like sound, guitar that ends up like progressing into like slightly different variations of what came before it. That's not anything like a butt rock song
No, it's
with like the
not.
rain and stuff. Yeah, they have a pretty variant style that kind of just ties together with the theme. And the singer's a fucking madman. I know it's not really the point of what we're talking about, but since we said, I want to point out to you, he has like a second mic that like distorts his voice, and so he has like it almost sounds like they have two singers a lot. It's that's a conversation for another day, but yeah, I just think that it, I find it to be maybe just right now, like when I really think that we need really good social commentary to get underneath people's radar and get into them so that people stop being so fucking insane. The idea of thinking about the comedians that are getting really unjustified criticisms, or at least to the point to where it's way more harsh. The implications of the criticisms are way more harsh than they should be. And the people that are getting like recognition and rewarded, it freaks me out. It makes me scared because I think of it as a really important tool for proper societal progression too. So like, it's not just like I'm like, it bothers me because of the art aspect of it. Like it actually freaks me out because I know I've seen like documentaries on it and stuff too. Like it's a really important tool for social change. Just as much as like movies and music have been in the past, comedy has been there, like making like social, like it been a big tool for social progress.
Yeah,
Like
no, I agree.
and especially in the areas today, like where people are like super critical of it, like comedy has been one of the most like race unifying art formats that there's been. A lot of those really early conversations when people were really like it was totally chill to be super openly racist. A lot of those conversations came about first from like comedy. People would
Yeah.
talk about it and they would kind of like criticize it in the middle of a joke and make people like laugh, and they're like, "Oh, maybe I am shitty. Maybe I shouldn't act this way." That a lot of that stuff happened that way, and now it seems like if you talk about it now, you're bad. Like this is the thing that got us. Like it's come full circle, you know.
Yeah.
But like counterclockwise.
Right. Joshua, thank you. Joshua said that all Foo Fighters is butt rock. I don't know if that's true. I'm sure they have some butt rocky songs, but when I think of butt rock, I think of like Creed and Nickelback, and then on the outer echelons of like butt rock, like stuff that's like butt rock but is trying to escape butt rock would be like Breaking Benjamin, and like kind of bands in that sphere, where they're like sort like or I'm looking at a video right now, Seether, or Seether,
I
is
like
probably
Seether.
like, yeah, I think they're old. They're like I think they have a history of butt rock. I don't know what they sound like nowadays. And also thank you for the follow, Josh. Um,
Um. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, you're good. I've lost my fucking train of thought now.
Okay, then I can hijack it from you if you want.
Go ahead. Yeah.
And I guess it hits a little different to me too. And you said like you have like a pretty good interest in stand up comedy. Like you said that you have at one point wanted to do stand up comedy.
I still do.
Oh well, then yeah. So like you have to. Well, I don't know what level at which you deconstruct these things and like think about the importance of them or like hold that importance like close to your heart, like I do, which I know is probably pretty fucking far disconnected from people. I think that I think about comedy the way that like good stand-up comedians think about comedy. Whereas you have you express a voice of like the average media consumer, perspective a lot, but I don't know if that's how you actually feel. I feel like a lot of times you're pushing back because you think like I'm trampling over like the average consumer's idea about it. And I have a hard time telling how you actually feel when you talk about it.
It's just like any other art. It's just it is subjective. Whether I like it or not, it is subjective. I can take objective measures, which then I can use to kind of compare stuff, in my own world.
Mhm.
But then outside of my own world, it doesn't exist. So in my head, I can go like, well, Steve Vai is amazing. He's like an amazing guitarist. The way he uses his guitar is like it's like a voice. It's like he's literally talking through the guitar. And I can have all these like artsy fartsy hipster like ways of explaining myself, but like at the end of the day, if I play a song, for example, on a roast night for a bunch of my community members, and they hear what sounds like a bunch of noise, it's not really their fault that they can't hear the magic. You know what I mean? Like it ends up being the same shit that I ran into when I did that fucking Black Country New Road. I hate this fucking band now. I hate this band, and no fault of their own. At literally zero fault of their own. No, I think they're fine. I think they actually might be fine. But like I don't like that song, and I hate them because their audience, or at least the ones that showed up to my YouTube channel, are just a bunch of assholes. They're like they are what they think I am. They're like you can't appreciate that. It's like, oh, you're such a fucking like mingy prick. Like shut up. He goes like,
what do you think you are?
Like, get the fuck out of my face. Like, you're not going to gaslight me into thinking that this song that I don't like is good. Like, I'm not going to break my brain or lie to you and be like, oh, it's so good. It's such a good song. I like the part where he goes, at some point. Like, what am I supposed to do? It's the same thing with Death Grips. I can listen to the beats all I want, but the second the dude starts going, I just go, I don't like this part so much anymore. And there's just nothing that's gonna stop it. There's nothing that's gonna stop it. Same thing with noise music. I feel like
it's one of the few times
they sit there and go, ooh. What's up?
We agree really heavily on noise and Death Grips. I think that's like where you and I like perfectly overlap our Venn diagram. Because it's very rare that we wholly agree, and like you spot on. Like I was saying out loud the things that you would say like in a second or two, so possibly at the same time, because Twitch Mobile is the worst app in the entire world.
But you know, I think I feel the same thing that you feel. We probably like if we really were to dig deep into what like very hyper specific things we like about comedy, like we might have like a discussion or like an argument there. But like in general, I see it the same way I see any art. Which again is I still hold your stance. I'm cynical. I don't know if I'm one step like behind you or one step ahead of you. I don't know where it is. But like I just go, I understand. I just now understand that people are going to like what it is that they like, and they're gonna in their head good is they have their own set of metrics. The most I can say, and from what I've observed, is that most people's metrics are just kind of like surface level, and it doesn't involve a whole lot of criteria to meet the standard of like good or best or greatest or whatever. It's very shallow because you also have to have the experience, and if you don't know who Steve Vai is, you're not going to know what the best guitarists are. You're going to be like, well, it's fucking Dave Grohl because he's like really good at being a Foo Fighter or whatever the fuck. It's like you'll never know that Steve Vai exists. You'll never know that Nick Johnson exists. You know what I mean? Like there's so many people who listen to Polyphia. I can guarantee you that none of them know the guy. They don't know Tim Henson, the neck tatted, skinny, effeminate dude who like before he did the trap guitar music thing was like a nerdy skinny boy in like a suit. They all used to wear suits. They were all still monsters back then, but it was a completely different type of music. And they even say that like they were trying for like a thing, and once they stopped trying, they ended up where they are now. So that's like pretty fucking cool. But no one knows about him. They just know like, oh, he makes like really cool trap beats with his guitar. But it's like you're not understanding what's happening here. Like you're not getting it because they don't understand how difficult it is to make the tippy taps on the guitar. They just go like, oh yeah, it just sounds good. And it's like, you don't get it. I can sit here, you don't get it. The chord structure, the way he writes his music is absurd.
People
Most
don't even know
guitarists,
how hard it is to hit a harmonic. It's fucking
they
hard.
don't,
It's
they don't know how to
hard.
play a fucking guitar. They don't know how hard it is to stick one finger on a string and how much that shit hurts for the first like month of you like practicing your shit. Like no one gets it. No one understands it. No one understands like the struggle, not, or I should say, not everyone understands the struggle of like an artist. The fucking struggle of an artist.
It's
But
real.
they don't.
Yeah.
It is unfortunate because you're tackling your emotions and trying to
Yeah,
like it's a
It's
process.
physical and mental. Yeah.
It's ridiculous. But most people don't get it, and most people don't want to get it. They don't care. They only care about the end product. They only care about making you laugh, or you making them laugh, or you making them cry during this one scene in this one Marvel movie, or you giving them goosebumps when you crescendoed at the end of that terrible shitty chorus, or whatever the fuck it is, right? Like they just want that. They just want a little hit of dopamine before they walk away and go to the next hit of dopamine.
Yeah, I think so. I think, yeah, maybe part of my frustration is that I want more people to understand how important and how good. I think I want people to appreciate a little more how good really good comedy is. And fortunately, at least, there are people who I agree with that almost everybody does know. There are people that are so good that you can't like really ignore. We've said it like a bunch, like Louis C.K., George Carlin, even like Aziz Ansari. Like everybody knows their names for being funny.
Dude, I don't know how famous he is outside of like the sphere of shit that I listen to, but Andrew Schultz is like, I think is legitimately one of the best fucking comics right now. And he does social comment, like an absolute shit ton of social commentary. He does it all the time, actually, constantly. But he's not. He's probably, if I'm being honest, he's probably like a liberal, but he doesn't really show his like political leanings all that much. He's just constantly like taking shots at every single person.
Isn't he the guy who gets in like a lot of trouble? Like he gets in like he got like a big trouble in some other country too.
Oh, I don't know. I'm not aware of him getting in trouble in any other countries. He does do raunchy and more specific, like racial and even like ethnic comedy. And he doesn't fuck around. He seems to know his shit. Like when he makes fun of Hawaiian, he's in Hawaii. There's like he does these crowd sessions, like these like crowd work sessions. Like a lot, he got famous because of these crowd work sessions where there was no joke. He was just like, "Oh, you're brown, but you look like you're like," and he'd be like, "Are you like you look kind of Asian, but you're brown? So are you like Filipino?" And they'd be like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." And he's like, "Oh," and then he'd list off a bunch of shit that like he knows about like Filipino culture because he seems to. I don't know if he necessarily does it for the sake of the comedy or if he legitimately just does like learning about cultures and then presenting it to people who are of those cultures, and then also injecting like the ridiculous stereotypes
I would
of
say
those cultures.
the joke is that like I'm gonna list off a bunch of things that I can assume about you, and when they laugh, they know that it's true, and kind of conceding that the stereotype is accurate. Yeah.
But at the same time, he does the little extra work in the beginning to go like, "Hey, I know about your culture," to then slip in the subversive stereotype, like, you know, whatever, like black people don't have fathers or whatever the fuck joke it is, right? And he doesn't just say like, "Oh, you don't have a dad." It's like, I'm establishing a rapport with you, and then I'm gonna drop the fact that you don't have a dad, and then it ends up being a lot that it's just what I like, to be fair. So I know Liz has had like a hard time with him at first, but I think Andrew, because Cam just asked, Andrew Schultz is his name. He's like some Italian New Yorker dude, which is probably why he's so fucking cool. Is just because he's like a New Yorker dude who just like he doesn't give a shit. He just doesn't give a shit.
Yeah.
But I like dudes like that. He's pushing the boundaries in probably a way that you would enjoy. He might not do the storytelling portion of it so well. He does do quite a bit of crowd work. I would say that honestly, a lot of his stuff, at least his YouTube stuff, ends up being a lot of crowd work. But I know that he's putting out a special soon. So
Yeah,
I'm assuming there's like jokes in there too.
Yeah, maybe Key of Weird Community can watch party it then.
Oh, when it comes out, yeah,
Yeah,
I'd be down.
and then
Yeah, we
afterwards,
gotta
I'll
do.
I'll I'll make a video shitting all over. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
You might not like it. I think you will though. I think you will because it might not be the storytelling like philosophy plus thing, but it's the social commentary, like joyous ribbing of like humans to like sort of push each other more together.
Yeah, I don't know how well I can actually put into words without like citing, like showing like specific examples of like what exactly the sauce is. Because it
Yeah.
doesn't always have to be like social, because it can be like interpersonal commentary, things about you that like a deep place of you knows about, but you don't ever think about, sort of like making you face an uncomfortable truth, which would be very similar to like bringing a societal issue like close to you, like just like revealing things that are hidden. Like comedy is like it's like the opposite of the occult. It is to finding hidden things and like making you realize they've been here the whole time.
Yeah.
Like and here it is. And so, are we getting close to your bedtime?
Yes, we are. We're rubbing up against it now.
Okay, so there's two things I really wanted to do.
Okay.
This, and one of them was you said something heinous to me, and I'd like to rectify it. You said that you've never laughed at anything from Carlin, right?
Yeah.
But people like to show you the classic thing, and he's topical. He's moved with the times. This man has been doing comedy longer than you or I have been alive, maybe even combined. And it's crazy to me that people want to only show something that was hyper relevant 40 plus fucking years ago. That's really dumb to me. So I wanted to show you a Carlin clip, and we don't have to go through the entire thing, but I'm pretty confident that it would because I just have to assume you haven't been exposed to a lot of them.
No.
And to me, George Carlin is the best comedian. And I think that the best comedians say that George Carlin is the best comedian. And it's really, I get that really weird thing. Like, I've grown up with him. I let my kid listen to him way before anybody would say that's okay to do, because I think it's
Sure.
important. I think it's like an important thing that supersedes the like what's inside. You just need to be exposed to it. And so like to me this would be like the epitome of the right way to do comedy. And so I wanted to show you that, and then I have I wrote an example of what good joke structure is, and I wanted to give you my short little bit.
Okay.
And
Joshua,
like,
Joshua said this is gonna be like when you pass your homie the ox. And I have a feeling that it might be because I did the same thing happens with music. If I find something, I'm all good. If you present something, I go, "What are you doing?" It's just there's something that like just stops it. It just goes, "No."
well, maybe, but you know what? Even if you don't laugh and you have that guard up, I bet you'd still be able to appreciate it.
We'll see.
Okay, so this is how do I
I think
make
you
sure
have
that I
to
don't.
share.
Yeah, go live. There we go. And then I just gonna go ahead and I gotta. Oh nope, not like that. OBS really do be ticking me off sometimes with how that works.
It's a little odd, yeah.
Perfect. That works. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna put you guys up here. Oh no. You know what? Oh god. Okay. You're just gonna be a little covered by the chat box. That's okay. Could you hear that, by the way? Did I do it
Here, I don't think so. I can
when
see it.
let's see.
Realize, do you?
Do you have anything
It
there?
might, no, it might be too low.
Hang on. I think I just have to screen stop streaming. Applications. There we go.
You're streaming League of Legends.
Oh, I was playing TFT. It's still on there. There we go. Okay, cool. I got rid of me. Beautiful. Okay. So let me know.
Realize that right
Oh, Jesus Christ. There we go.
this second,
Can you hear it? Or how about that?
right now,
No, I can't even see it right now.
Why is this happening?
I'm trying to, because it says you're streaming, but I can't. Okay, hold on. I should
Old
probably
people issues.
see it now.
Okay.
Yeah, I can see it now.
Okay, cool.
do you realize
Did you hear that?
Yeah, give me 1 second.
Okay.
Yeah, you're good.
Alrighty.
do you realize that right this second, right now, somewhere around the world, some guy is getting ready to kill himself? Isn't that great? Isn't that great? Did you ever stop and think about that kind of shit? I do. It's fun. And it's interesting, and it's true. Right this second, some guy is getting ready to bite the big bazooka. Because statistics show that every year 1 million people commit suicide. 1 million. That's 2,800 a day. That's one every 30 seconds. There goes another guy. And I say guy, because men are 4 times more likely than women to commit suicide, even though women attempt it more. So men are better at it. That's something else you gals will want to be working on. Well, if you want to be truly equal, you're going to have to start taking your own lives in greater numbers. But, yeah. But I just think it's interesting to know. Interesting. That's a big word in this show for me. Interesting to know that at any moment, the odds are good that some guy is dragging a chair across the garage floor, trying to get it right underneath that ceiling beam. Wouldn't want to be too far off center. If it's worth doing, it's worth doing right. Somewhere else, another guy is going over and getting a gun out of a dresser drawer. Somebody else is opening up a brand new package of razor blades. Maybe struggling with the cellophane a little bit, you know. Ah, shit, it's always something, God damn it. I just think that's interesting as hell. That's probably the most interesting thing you can do with your life. End it. I don't think I could do that, though. Could you? God. I couldn't commit suicide if my life depended on it. But I understand it, you know. I think I do. I don't wonder about it. I don't wonder, well, why did he do that? Or what was going through his mind? You know what I wonder? Where did he find the fucking time?
Let's see if we can get back.
Oh yeah, I can. Let's see. I just
But say what you
hey.
want about it.
Sorry about that. Boop. And then God.
Yeah.
Now I just have to get rid of this monstrosity that I created to accommodate it.
Cam said that he also has never laughed at a George Carlin joke. Or
Well,
George Carlin.
First of all, Cam's a known liar and felon, so
Oh boy, those are some strong claims.
yeah. Well, you know, I think it's pretty believable coming from me. Everybody tells me how nice and honest I am. So why would I lie about it?
All right, so that was the first thing. What's the second thing?
So one day I was coming home right after we talked about this too. I was coming home from work and I wrote a a bit to show like how Louis C.K.'s comedy style works, where you kind of say
Okay.
you kind of I explained it like you make the A and the B and then you pull them apart.
Hmm.
Real quick, I'm gonna get some water because I
Sure.
I can't talk for a long period of time
Okay.
without it now.
I also have a ton of. I don't think I have good jokes. I have like premises for jokes that I sometimes tell my friends. Um, I have one friend, actually my doctor friend who was here that one time. He tells me every so often that I sound like Louis.
Oh,
Um, maybe I can tell you some premises for jokes and then you can tell me what you think about them.
yeah. I don't mind that. Who do you want to go first?
You can go first.
All right, uh, so we didn't really have any natural way for me to lead into it. So I just, as all the great ones do, it's just really topical, and so I spent a good deal of time thinking about all the Roe v. Wade things, and like the arguments are really crazy how people talk about it because I don't think that a baby's life is the same as like an adult's life. Like I don't care so much about like everybody talks about the fetus or the fetus like the value of life of the fetus, but like I don't really care that much about a baby's life in comparison to like almost anything with an adult. And everybody acts like the baby, like if you were to kill a baby, that's like the worst thing ever. But like I think killing a 25-year-old is like demonstrably worse than killing a baby. Like, do you know how hard it is to make a baby? It's like the most not hard thing in the entire world. Like if think about it, if you put two people in a room, the only criteria is that they both have to have orgasms. That's it. And sometimes if when that happens, they just accidentally make a baby. Like they didn't even want to have a baby and you just get a fucking baby. And if you compare that to how hard it is to make a 25-year-old, it's obscenely hard. Think about it. Nobody has ever made a 25-year-old. Like that shit doesn't work. You can put 50 people in a room with computers and lube and they can fuck each other. They can fuck the computer. When they come out of that room, guarantee you no fucking 25-year-olds coming out of that room. It just doesn't fucking happen. And not only that too, like you think about how we probably should be able to make a 25-year-old. Our phones are insane. Cars can drive themselves. They don't have to, but they can. The entire world is insane. You can get you get same day shipping, but we can't make 25-year-olds. Babies all the time, even when you don't want to, they're everywhere. And they're awful too. A baby's like if we look at like the teleology of a baby, like what does a baby do? What is it good for? A baby's greatest skill is fucking dying. Like they have a super hard time even being born to begin with. And if they make it out of the womb, they gotta pray they don't fucking kill their mother, because that's the only person they have to take care of them. Otherwise, they're just gonna starve and die anyways. And then after they're born, your basic job as a parent is to make sure that it doesn't die because it's fucking stupid and really good at dying. 25-year-olds can use magical cell phones very well. They can drive cars that can't self-drive themselves. They can even make stupid fucking babies. There's no way in hell that killing a baby is as bad as killing a 25-year-old. Also, nobody gets mad when you fuck a 25-year-old.
Pretty good.
Thank you. And that's how I think like Louis C.K. style comedy works. Because people would be like, well, of course it's worse to kill a baby. Like,
Right.
but is it? Is it?
Yeah.
I would happily mow down 5 one-year-old babies before I shot a 25-year-old in the eyes. The baby can't look back at me with abject horror, knowing that all of its existence and memories are going to be wiped off the face of the earth. It's not going to know. They're going to know that everybody's going to. Babies don't fucking know. They are so primed and ready to die. It's unreal.
Okay. Okay.
I'm gonna text them just to let them know.
All right. I don't have jokes. A lot of the time, I would just have a thought, and it'd be kind of like a funny thought, and then I'd write it down.
Okay,
And
so like I want to explore this later kind of thing.
Sort of, kind of. Sometimes it was just like it just made me laugh when I said it. Like I have just a running second voice in my head that's always just constantly saying the fucked up shit that I would like to say, but I can't because I'm in public.
Oh, I say it. That's me 100% in your chat.
And there's just no one there to say it to. Is more like it. It's just like I'm
Okay.
sort of like sitting in my car, and like there's no one for me to really tell the thing, so I just write it down and then like I just move on. So I've got like some dumb ones, but every once in a while something funny comes up. Like, do I need glasses or do I like milfs now?
That's pretty good. That's
Thank
a
you.
joke. That's a one-liner.
Yeah, I got a few of those in here.
Look up Jay London.
Okay.
He's like the king of one-liners. He used to come out with his jacket over his arm like he was ready to like be asked
Oh,
to
this
leave.
dude.
And like after a joke, he'd be like, "I'm sorry, miss, it'll be over soon." Because like all of his jokes are just like little one-liners. So good. I love him. I love him to death.
One time, before it was uncouth for comedians to go to college campuses, I had the unbelievable privilege of having Louis C.K. come live to my college, and I got in for like $5. It was dope,
Oh
and
my
he
God.
opened up for Louis on that day, and the dude is legitimately fucking hilarious.
Oh my! You saw Jay London and Louis C.K. at the same
Yeah.
show? That's fucking amazing.
At least
will
I'm
never-
pretty sure he opened for him. I might be going crazy, but I'm pretty sure he opened for him.
I will never be able to fully express to you how much I envy that experience because I don't even know how to catch Jay London. Period. He's not as appreciated as I think he should be.
Yeah, and Louis seems to like him quite a bit. I think I've also seen Louis use him like on other specials, like to open up as well. So I think Louis
Oh.
likes him a bit. But yeah, it was just like a random kind of like thing. I remember tears running down my face because it was the first time I heard his sleep joke. I think it might have been like before he like put it on a special. The like how good sleep is.
Oh.
It's like an old whore who's sucking you off, and like just the and like the it's just that all that's just like fucking hilarious. He did it then. It was like hysterical. Okay, let's see if I can get some of the good ones. There's no good ones, by the way. It's just a travesty.
I like the
I
first one
also
pretty good.
thank you.
Yeah.
I wonder if I have any other. I got one more. This one might be bad though. A naked girl is artwork until there's a dick in it. That's it. I think that's it for this page. I've got like 2 pages of shit. You like that one? You like that one? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good one. I'll remember. I usually remember ones that people laugh at, and those 2 end up being good ones. Those are good ones for me too. Like I just thoroughly enjoy them because they're just so stupid.
That that joke's like it's like meta cringe funny, because it's particularly funny because like I can't believe that you like said that, but then like appreciating like very much that like you'd say that is really really good.
Okay. Okay, let's see. So this is from the beginning of this year, February 21st of 2022. Both my grandparents had Alzheimer's. I hope when I get it, I'm more like my grandma. She couldn't move and got bed sores. My grandpa could move around and talk though, even though he didn't know what was going on. I'm just really afraid that I'll be a pervert and do weird shit without knowing it. If I could just still walk around and talk. I think there's more. There's supposed to be a little bit more in there because it's supposed to be really dark. Because I did have to watch my grandmother die, and that was really depressing. But that was the idea. Was like I'd rather be basically comatose instead of having the ability to be a pervert who walks around and sticks like his fingers in like nurses' assholes or whatever the fuck. That's the general idea that I'm trying to get to with that one.
In all honesty, if you just say it like you did and add the explanation, it's really really good.
Okay, well that's good.
Because it's kind of like you have the part where you're like I think I had more there because like there is like an expectation of it to go a little bit further. And
Right.
then when you say like, oh, I did watch my grandma die though.
Yeah.
We're and here comes the punchline and like just like Also, here's my trauma. Like,
Right, yeah. Like, okay, so this is from November 29th of 2021. This is from Liz and a friend of ours. Okay, this is going to sound unbelievably transphobic, but you're just going to have to follow me here. All right, this is Liz and a friend of ours grieving over Elliot Page's previous attractiveness. Where our friend said that she used to be hot, while Liz said that she used to be cute. And then I say, that was like a preamble that I have like in parentheses. And then I have, men and women have different definitions when it comes to cute. When men say a woman is cute, they're trying to say she's attractive in like a certain, like a particular way. But when women say it, they mean like I can compete, or she looks pretty cute for like an ugly chick. That was not as good, but yeah.
yeah, but I would also contest that because I don't know if you can see my stream. Like, I think just like demonstrably, like I don't really have an attraction to men, but like Elliot Page is hot. Like I know enough to know that. He's fucking shredded fucking abs, but he's not like beefy or fat. Like
Yeah, it's because those abs are fake.
I bet you that argument doesn't make any woman less attracted to the body.
Well, no, but
Right.
also
That's
at the
what
same
hot
time,
is.
Those abs are fake. I'm pretty sure they got those abs put in.
All right. Well,
Those
you
abs
know,
look mad fake.
you know what? If I see some big old fake titties in my dick move, I guess it's hot. I know she didn't earn them through her hard work and determination.
Yeah.
But like, if it still go, I guess it is. I'm not the arbiter of what I find hot, right?
I mean, that's true.
If that was the case, who would eat almond joys?
I think Louis would, but yeah, eat quite a few. Okay, so let's see. I've got like, there's seriously like probably like 10 or 20 in here, so I'm not gonna go through all of them. Let's see.
Sure.
I'm gonna just like spitfire them. This is a Mr. Girl one. Before I knew who Mr. Girl was. Why can't we make sex toys for pedos, like a fleshlight in the shape of a baby? If you want to have good sex as a man, you can't respect the girl. Oh, this was actually about Liz. If you want to have good sex as a man, you can't respect the girl. Because if we were friends before we got together, I find it difficult to treat my girlfriend like the whore she wants to be in bed. If a dude buys sex toys to use on a woman, can you reuse them on other women after you've broken up?
Yeah.
Don't you just hate locking eyes with a homeless person? That's literally just it. I showed my friends a video of a dude kicking a baby. She claimed that it wasn't too bad because it was an accident. It was an accident because he was trying to kick a pregnant woman who was currently on the ground, where the baby popped up from behind a group of other people who were already kicking the, and I have to emphasize, pregnant woman.
What was the one before that? Oh, don't you hate it when you lock eyes with a homeless person?
With a homeless person.
Yeah, you make that a really good joke by just saying like, there's no punchline. I just want to know if I'm the only one.
Yeah.
And
No,
then
I
like
know.
desperate eyes like looking
Yes.
to find that connection with somebody that also is disgusted by the
I'm not disgusted.
weeping
it's
trash
just
that holds up
it's
the
just awkward.
signs.
It's just
Yeah, but
like, I got no money.
But that's what you're. Yeah. Go ahead.
Let's see. Let's see. No. Hold on. Wait. Let me see if I can. I gotta read this really quick just to make sure it's not the worst thing in the world. This is really fucked up.
Don't worry, nobody will ever see this.
I mean, this is gonna get clipped to shit, and Liz is gonna know who this is, but it doesn't matter because it's still pretty funny. This is the beginning of my woman hatred. I'm kidding. It's been around forever. June 10th of 2020. Women in general are terrible people. They have an amazing superpower that they're allowed to use for evil, and no one cares. If a man were to marry a woman for her money, we'd all say, "Oh, how progressive." But we'd all think, "Look at this fucking lazy asshole." You know what? You know how I know that's truth, or that's the truth? Because a friend of mine just broke up with her boyfriend of almost a year because she couldn't see a future with him. He was unable to work more than a few hours a week and couldn't get hard. He also had diabetes. I could not have been happier when she broke up with him. He was useless. Fuck him and his stupid diabetes have an ass. See, if the opposite had occurred, where a man didn't want to take care of his diabetic girlfriend and she couldn't get wet enough for him, we'd all call that dude an asshole. Women are emotional serial killers. They're mini Jeffrey Dahmers that prey on your feelings, and we're all okay with it. It's a long one.
Do you know why I like that joke?
Why?
Because it does the thing. So what happens is you take on all the animosity for saying it, but the point, but you're still expressing the point that we have very different treatment and framing for the exact same event for men and women.
Yeah, it's
so
the Bill Burr thing. Bill Burr did it a fuck ton.
So when people like, I think that one, you're gonna get people that laugh at other people being mad more than anything else, and then but all the people involved are still gonna be like, they're gonna be enthralled in some other emotion where they're still gonna be picking up the like, well, he's not fucking wrong. I just wish he didn't say it.
Right.
It's really dark when you say that. When you say it that way, say it different.
Yeah. No. Let's see. What else? Oh, we need shame back. Future parents are going to start catching their kids masturbating. Oh, future parents catching their kids masturbating is going to be extra weird. VR headset, noise-canceling headphones, a fuck machine. They won't know you're coming into the room. No more boys hunched over their computers. They'll be sat perfectly straight up with a headset and headphones on, and nothing but the mechanical whirring of a machine jerking them off. Let's see. God. Liz asked, what would you do if I stuck a finger in your ass? And I said, well, it wouldn't be fun for either of us. I have hemorrhoids, so it would just hurt for me, and it'd be like fighting through a basket of grapes for you.
No. Oh,
no. Okay, that's it. I'm not gonna. There's a lot. Oh, here's one that everyone usually likes. There's a World Special Olympics. Do you think that the best are more athletic or less retarded?
Good night, KeyofWeird.
Dude. See ya. And that's where I'll end it for today. That'll be it.
I have a similar one to one of yours. That one's really good.
Thank you.
I have a similar one. Whenever somebody, and this is true, whenever somebody asks me what my safe word is, I don't care if it's in a serious context or somebody's just making conversation. I always say my safe word is "get out of my asshole," because it works no matter what.
It does.
Because if you're not in my asshole and we haven't discussed it ahead of time, you're going to be shocked and you're going to stop what you're doing. And that's that's the purpose of the safe word. Yeah. And if you are in my asshole, then get the fuck out of my asshole.
My asshole, yeah. Oh man. Well, that was fun.
Yeah. I'm gonna take a great degree of pride that you laughed more at my bit than you did at George Carlin. But also that that does flow into a really, really good section. His last two have a lot of like death and suicide stuff that is so good. It's some of his best stuff. Like he really did get better as he aged. Just like at crafting jokes and just really, really like just nailing it. Like his older stuff is more silly, and the older he gets, the more dark he gets, which is like I can appreciate in and of itself.
Oh yeah, he's closing in on death himself, so he's thinking about it more often.
Yeah, and just a very morbid and like he said, like he thinks it's interesting. He has a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, I can see. I can tell, and I can see why. Exactly. Yeah. No. Yeah. I'll have to check it out. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I seen you smiling. I seen you smiling too, and like self-correcting too. Like you're like studying it.
Well, I like it because at the end, it's still an old man saying fucked up things, and you don't often see old men saying fucked up things like that. So there's just something about like the almost ridiculousness of watching an old, to be fair, dying man talking about death and like in this very candid way. So that part itself is amusing. But the jokes themselves were, and I hate to say it, were kind of just like yuck, 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 suicide. At least that portion, but that portion was like 2.5 minutes long or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm not gonna judge the entirety of his work based on those 2.5 minutes. I just go like, yeah, there's probably more to that joke that continues to be funny.
Yeah, that was a little sad too. Like when I'm showing it to you, like I know the things that it connects from like later and earlier too that like kind of get lost when you clip
like,
it.
Yeah, you're just showing
Yeah.
me this like no
Yes.
context. Like
When you have somebody who's really good at comedy, each joke, well, a lot of jokes will kind of have like lines drawn to other things too.
Yeah.
And so that I think that's a really clipping comedy is a bad way to engage with it, but I just had to make do with what I have in the format that we're operating in.
no, I agree.
But Key, I really appreciate you agreeing to do this. This was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed
It was a
breaking
ton
it
of
down and sharing the jokes with you. And that was the
yeah.
first time I've ever really done like said a bit where like any degree of people might really see it rather than just telling somebody a joke.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think the same goes for me. Usually, it's just I'm just drunkenly reading these to my friends.
I definitely think you have some stuff there if you like kind of like if you kind of expand on them the right way, like you can like make them into a bit. A lot of them seem like they have like a really open end for you to take and like really explore those ideas that can be really, really funny instead of just the initial shock of like, or the one-liner or like the shock of the thing, like the grandma thing. Like when you put that at the end, I know that wasn't intentional, but like that's fire.
Yeah.
when you subvert the punchline with something horrifying to have somebody say, oh, that's good.
I'll have to keep that in mind. I wouldn't mind writing that a little more cohesive, but if you say that that's how it works, then I'll have to take your word for it. Yeah, no, I plan on doing the open mic nights whenever I just decide to get the balls to go into the city and actually do it
too. I really, really want to do it myself. I haven't. It's scary.
It's scary, but I don't know. It's the same. I think I have what you have, but on stage. And it might be just like I just have more practice of being in front of people that I have. Like I like the getting in front of a bunch of people and saying a bunch of dumb shit just to make them laugh. Whereas I think you like doing it in public. I think in public you get that enjoyment. So when you're like, well, now I'm putting on a show versus like you're technically putting on a show in public, but you're not. Like no one's paying for this. You're just kind of like, this makes me laugh and this might be enjoyable, so I'm gonna go ahead and like say it out loud.
Yeah, I used to use like edgy jokes as a way to control a social situation that I felt really anxious in. So instead of like everybody else kind of controlling how like what's going on and all that, like if I say the thing and everybody just stops to listen, like now you're uncomfortable with me. Yeah. And like when I bring you down to my level of anxiety, now I am the master. Like it's my domain. Here we are. You can suffer with me now, but I'm better at the suffering than you are.
Right.
So
yeah, I think I have that, but like maybe I just have done similar things with music on stage that like I'm used to like the just standing there with the mic and saying nonsense. So it's less balls and more like I have to find the time to like. Because it is like you said, and like I do actually think it does take work. Like, sure, I can just do like, do I need new glasses or do I like MILFs now? But like that's like there's something more there that I can work with, right? I can work with that MILF angle quite a bit. Like, well, I am getting older. Do I like MILFs? Or MILFs just people who are as old as I am now? Like, what even is like there's something I can go in.
Oh, that's definitely a good one to resonate because like I always liked older women and now I'm like around that age of like
now you're there, yeah.
Yeah, like they're born at the same time as me.
Yeah, I guess I am into MILFs now. Yeah.
Like what does that mean for me though?
Yeah.
You know? Like what if I still want what if it's not though? What if I just want to pursue older women and I just like look up pictures of women that are 15 years old and be like, I don't know.
Like, it looks pretty
like,
good. Yeah.
Is that what you want, buddy?
Yeah. There's something there. But yeah. No, you're right. All right. Okay, I gotta go.
Yeah. Take it easy, man. I know you're fucked now. It's almost 8:30. You're in trouble.
Yeah. I'm gonna be in bed and not asleep is what's gonna happen right now. Okay. So I am out of here.
Good night, KeyofWeird.
Dude. See ya.